Welcome to another video of the Carnal Conservative, and today is Funday Friday. And this is generally the day which I set aside after work to go ahead and have game night with the family and do some dice rolling, do some tabletop gaming, and that's what we do on Friday. But today, I thought I'd take a minute to shamelessly shill what we can do to fight back against the ever-encroaching cancer of progressivism in gaming, and that is, of course, through the game which I am making, called The Shades of Dominion. Now, The Shades of Dominion is a new game that is loosely based on the Magic the Gathering card game, but instead of casting mana, your Shade Mage will be casting the Shade. The Shade is essentially a form of magic or mana that, instead of being infinite and generous, it is instead very finite and very, very cruel. Mages who take on the Shade and use the Shade have what are called Shade afflictions, and whenever the mage violates or offends or gives into these afflictions, they get burned by the Shade, harming them and potentially those around them. This is a relationship with power where the Shade mages have to basically either conform to the Shade or deny the Shade, and denying the Shade always has a price. But there is a special twist. Very much like the mana or magic of other worlds or other planes, the Shade is also the life force of every realm in this universe. However, because it is finite, anytime a Shade Mage pulls the Shade from a realm, the realm starts to die. And it starts to change and deteriorate, and being a Shade Mage traveling the realms has its risks, meaning that in addition to casting spells and looking for powerful artifacts and fighting off larger creatures, you will also have entire populations of the realms hunting you down. So let's introduce the dominions of the Shade, shall we? Now, the first dominion of the Shade is the Dominion of Ether. This is the dominion that houses the attributes of illusion, knowledge, and overall manipulation and shenanigans. This is the dominion you would use to access the powers of flight, invisibility, illusion magic, illusion summons, and the mental harassment of your opponents and your enemies. Now, this is a very powerful dominion. However, it lacks oomph. It lacks immediate the gratifying satisfaction of firepower, and in terms of afflictions, it can make you quite the automaton. Don't expect to be the face of the group wearing this dominion. However, the next dominion, of course, is the Dominion of Corruption. Now, this is the dominion that will grant you or access to the attributes of ambition, darkness, and death. Now, if you like the idea of sacrificing your life force for more powerful spells or more variety of spells, you would like ambition a lot. Darkness should be self-explanatory. Manipulating shadows and whatnot is the premier of its attribute. And death, self-explanatory. A basic bitch necromancy. If that is your fancy, this is going to be your wheelhouse. That is the corruption dominion. On next we have the Dominion of Destruction, which, as you might guess, is the dominion that has the attributes of chaos, combustion, and passion. Now, chaos is exactly what you would expect. Sowing chaos, sowing destruction, having that kind of luck of the draw, by the fly of your pants kind of feel. Chaos is exactly what it sounds like in terms of spells and in aspects that your character is going to take on with the Shade. Destruction, no, not destruction, combustion. Destruction is the dominion. Combustion is the attribute, and combustion is your basic bitch fireball, your lightning bolts, your let's set things ablaze constantly. That your elemental minion spells. This is going to be your combustion attribute right here. And the last one is a attribute of red and destruction, which is not emphasized enough, and I thought it would be neat to include in a Magic the Gathering like roleplay for the roleplay setting, and that is passion. Passion is the attribute that allows you to change minds, to be able to sway souls. You can use it in a persuasive and domineering manner, or you can even go the lustful route if you want to be a godless degenerate, but hence the nature of destruction is true to itself in that aspect. However, I will caution, if you use combustion instead of passion, don't expect to be the face of the group, because the shade aspects and afflictions that you will gain using combustion and chaos, they might not necessarily rub well with your passion aspects if that's what you're trying to do. But onwards and forwards to our next dominion. And this is the dominion of purity. Now, purity has the attributes of light, order, and protection. This is your dominion for which you will be able to summon angels and heal your allies. You'll be able to buff your minions and make them, stronger, faster, and more cooperative. This is, as you can clearly see, the white color. But the shade afflictions of purity are pretty severe. I'm pretty sure for one of them, you can't even tell a white lie. You can't even leave things out. So do not put a purity shade mage as your face of the group. They will spill their guts. Actually, if you want a deception mage, if you want someone to be the face, I'd go with Aether for that one. But yes, a very powerful dominion with all of the bells and whistles of purity shade. And we are going to actually move on to the next and obvious one, which is the Dominion of Vitality. Now, this is your old-fashioned dominion with elves and yes, filthy elves, and restoring shade to other shade vessels. This is a very also a healing dominion. It also this is responsible for the attributes of growth, which is like making all of your minions bigger. Instinct, which gives them a cunning edge, makes them strike first and hard at the enemy. And then last one, of course, is the attribute of nature, which is very replenishing, the attribute of plants and snares and vines and elementals and all other fun and shenanigans. Now, the drawback of this particular dominion includes things like honoring the forces of nature, might makes right, and also it's not shade friendly. This is the only dominion that naturally abhors the shade and would prefer the vacuum that is nature itself. So it's kind of the anti-shade dominion of all the rest. But if you weren't sold on Shades of Dominion just yet, we have news. We have news. The Shades of Dominion is apparently qualifies as extremist content for my fellow extremists. If you wanted to know if this was your kind of game, I have news. Yes, this is your kind of game. This is a game for those who are actually, gamers. People who are interested in not, political crap. But I couldn't resist some trolling. I could not resist some trolling. So if you are wondering how based the Shades of Dominion is, well, we have the answer here for you. See, in lieu of being labeled extremist content, instead of bowing to the mob, I decided to up the ante. You see, after being labeled an extremist, I decided to create a villain in the Shades of Dominion universe known as the Yaniv, inspired by, you guessed it, that Yaniv. That disgusting, filthy, degenerate, probably communist, disgusting thing. That's going to be one of the main villains that you will get to face off and destroy as a Shade Mage. That's how based this game is, and I hope that I have earned your patronage, because we will never cuck. We will never give up, and we will be a force for good in the gaming community from the day that we launch and forevermore. Everyone, stay carnal, and God bless.